Former President Donald Trump's lawyers visited the Justice Department earlier today.
This is coming weeks after they requested a meeting with top federal law enforcement officials. The lawyers left the Justice Department shortly after noon Eastern Time, roughly 2 hours after they arrived. Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed a special counsel to investigate Trump after classified documents were uncovered at his Mar-a-Lago residence last year, as you must remember. Several sources with knowledge of the probe say a charging decision is now imminent.
Joining us now for more on this is CBS News Chief Election and Campaign Correspondent Robert Costa. Bob, thank you very much for being here. So 2+ hours is a pretty lengthy visit. I think it's safe to say they weren't just stopping in to use the restroom and then go on their way. So what do we know about why they may have visited the Justice Department? Why today? Why now?
The Justice Department, as you know, Tony, is not someplace you can just knock on the door. Some tourists may mill around it when they're visiting the mall in Washington, D.C., but you usually need to have a meeting if you're going to enter those heavy doors down there on Pennsylvania Avenue. What CBS News is learning is that this was a very important crossroads in the investigation of former President Donald Trump and his handling of classified material. His lawyers met with Justice Department officials, though not with Attorney General Merrick Garland, to discuss the state of the case ahead of a possible charging decision. The grand jury has been quiet for weeks, and what we're hearing is that Trump's lawyers went in there today and said to DOJ officials, we have some concerns about how you've handled this case, how you've asked different witnesses questions in front of the grand jury, especially about what is called attorney-client privilege, because some of that has been adjusted in terms of how evidence is presented in this case.
Now, Bob, do you think that we're going to get to learn anything from the DOJ or the special counsel's office on what happened there today, or on any possibility for another appearance?
We might get some clarity about who exactly was in the room. The Trump attorneys had requested a meeting with the Attorney General Merrick Garland. They wanted that sit down with the #1 official at the Justice Department. But what makes this case unique is it's not being run straight out of the Justice Department. Of course, it's part of the Justice Department. It's a special counsel investigation that's somewhat independent from the main justice area. And so what you're seeing is the Attorney General, based on what we're hearing, deciding not to be in this meeting, but having some senior officials there. We could get some clarity about Garland officially saying he was not there, and Jack Smith, the special counsel, may be sending one of his deputies or someone who could be his surrogate.
Jack Smith, we got a picture of him on the screen there. He's the special counsel. He's looking into this matter with the documents. We mentioned at the top that a charging decision could be imminent. What's the time frame? What does imminent mean in this context? When could this investigation be wrapped up?
We keep hearing that most of the witnesses in this investigation have been heard from. That means people at Mar-a-Lago who work on the janitorial staff, or people who work on former President Trump's personal staff. They have come before this grand jury and testified in recent months as witnesses. So have some Trump lawyers. The attorney-client privileges have been revoked in some sense. Lawyers have been told by the federal judge to testify in this case. An unusual turn, but it does have precedent in our legal system for the attorney-client privilege to be broken for what's called a crime-fraud exception. Look, Tony, what we're looking at here is an investigation that is near its end, maybe in the 8th inning of a 9th inning game. I know you're a baseball fan, but we're not in the 9th inning just yet, because they're trying to figure out in this final phase, do they need to call in any final witnesses, and are they really ready to move to that final 9th inning, which is a decision on whether to charge former President Donald Trump with some kind of conspiracy to obstruct the federal government as it sought those classified records, some of them strewn throughout the floor of his office by FBI agents as they discovered them in the basement of Mar-a-Lago, and some in his office as well.
Yeah, a lot of members of the public think it's an open-shut case, but there's a lot that goes into this. It's complicated. We may not ever see charges. It's the 8th inning, as you say.
As we wait on Georgia.
As we wait on Georgia. But in this case, just to continue with your metaphor, it is the 8th inning. There's no pitch clock at this level, so it's at their discretion. And we will keep following it. We know you will as well. Robert Costa, thank you very much.
Thank you.